Next, I am pleased to introduce Harvey Deutschendorf. Harvey is an emotional intelligence expert, speaker, and internationally published author of The Other Kind of Smart: Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. His latest book, Emotional Intelligence Game Changers: 101 Simple Ways to Win at Work and Life, was released in August 2023. Harvey is a regular contributor to Fast Company and HR Professional magazines, but he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He's used emotional intelligence to overcome a difficult upbringing and is passionate about sharing what he has learned to help others live more rewarding, fulfilling lives. Today, he'll be discussing how emotions drive people, people drive productivity. Harvey, welcome to the PeopleFirst Global Summit. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I am glad to be on. So today, I want to talk to you about something called discretionary effort. And discretionary effort is the effort that people could give in the workplace if they wanted to, over and above the minimum effort required. Now, a man by the name of Aubrey Daniels came up with the notion of discretionary effort. He was a clinical psychologist, and he was a follower of the behaviorist line of psychology, people like B.F. Skinner and others. But he had an interest in behavior in the workplace. And he became the first editor of the Journal of Organizational Behavior Management a number of years ago. And today, he's the International Performance Management part of the leader of the International Performance Management Consulting Group. So he's done this work for many, many years, studied discretionary effort. And what he found was that many organizations manage performance that it motivates employees only to do enough to get by. And they do it by negative reinforcement. In other words, they're only noticed when the performance level slips below a certain level. And while that negative reinforcement can get immediate results, the results are very limited because usually people will pick up their performance just to the degree that the threat will go away, because of course, the threat is that they will lose their employment, lose their livelihood, their jobs. So they will pick it up for a time being, and then it will slide down again to the minimum that is required. So it doesn't really get people's performance level up, certainly not close to the maximum. Now, Aubrey Daniels considered the maximum that we can give in the workplace to be 80%. 100% wasn't really achievable for any length of time, but he looked at it as 80%. Now, can you imagine your organization if people were able to pick up their performance? No, let's not even say 50%, which he thought at some levels it was possible for discretionary performance to be 50% above the baseline, if they could give 50% more. But even a small amount, 10%, imagine what that would do for the overall effectiveness of the organization. How much more productive it would be, how much more people would enjoy working in that organization. It would be massive. But organizations have to earn the discretionary effort. It's just not given. Okay, so now people experience positive reinforcement and immediate consequences for the behavior, most likely to enjoy what they're doing and go over and above the minimum required. We do it all the time in our personal lives. We try to reinforce behavior from children, our partners, by showing them appreciation, encouraging them, because we want to see more of that type of behavior. So when we see it, we want them to do more. We encourage them. Hopefully we do. And when we see the behavior, more of the behavior that we like to see, we keep encouraging more. So why can we not do this at work? By doing this, what we need to do, as Daniel saw, is to build positive reinforcement into the work itself, but also build it into the work processes and get reinforcement not only from managers, which is important, but has to be much more than that, from peers, and also build in performance systems that continuously focus on and create positive reinforcement. And this will eliminate negative consequences for critical business behaviors, building frequent positive consequences. Organization can tap into the discretionary efforts of their workforce. It's not only good for business, but it's good for the culture of the workforce. It's good for the people that are working there. Back many years ago, Dale Carnegie, who wrote a book called How to Make Friends and Influence People. It's a seminal work that has been consequences still often referred to today. Dale Carnegie had a solid understanding of people, what it takes to motivate them. And he said, people work for money, but they go the extra mile for praise, recognition, and rewards. And money, can it be a motivator? To a certain degree, but also money can be a disincentive if people believe they're not being fairly paid. And especially if they believe that other people doing the same work somewhere are making more money than them. A good example of this is, I live in Canada, and Air Canada, our largest airline here, the pilots were recently ready to go on strike. And the reason was that they understood that American pilots, our neighbors to the south, were making more money than them. Not only more, but substantially more money. And they're very, very upset about this and ready to go on strike. They didn't. The company came up with some increases for them. But so this isn't a new idea, actually, that the idea that if we give positive reinforcement isn't exactly a new idea. Dale Carnegie talked about it. But it hasn't been studied to the degree that it has been just recently, and it's being studied today as companies start to recognize it. It's very, very, very important that people feel appreciated, because they will give a lot more. They'll be happier. And a recent study by Glassdoor, just about 10 years ago, and there's been lots of studies to show that people feel appreciated and put more effort into their organizations. That's this huge amount of studies, overwhelming number of studies. But a study by Glassdoor in 2013. It was a large study. A lot of employees were studied. And 50% of employees said they'd stay longer if their bosses, their managers, showed more appreciation, as well as staying longer. 81% of them said that they would be more motivated to do more. So most companies have some sort of recognition program. And a lot of the recognition program, of course, is based on tenure, how long you've worked for the organization. And the only problem with that is it treats everybody the same, whether you've been there for 30 years and you've really created value, you've given your all, given your best effort, and you created a lot of value for the organization, or whether you've just stayed there, done the minimum, waited to receive your pension. So I mean, this might be good for the person who is in the latter, but the person who's worked really worked very, very hard, given their all for the organization, how do they feel? Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel rewarded when they're treated the same as somebody that hasn't? That seems to be a great disincentive to those people. The problem is with a lot of recognition programs, standard recognition programs, they have little or no impact. And the worst case scenario, they have a negative impact. They're disincentive. And to do employee appreciation well, that has real and lasting impact, organizations need to do some work. They need to make an effort to find out what makes their people get to know their people, not only in their working world, but the rest of their lives. They get to really know their people and find out what makes them feel appreciated, because one size, and this is what most organizations do, one size does not fit all. We're not all the same. We have different ways that we like to feel, makes us feel appreciated. A man by the name of Gary Chapman wrote a book that's become quite popular. A lot of you may have read it, heard about it, called the Five Love Languages. And it's got into different, versions now. But basically, what he says is that in our relationships, our personal relationships, and with our spouses, with our partners, our wives and husbands, we should find out what the other person, how they like to be appreciated, what makes them feel appreciated, because it's not the same. It may not be the same as what makes us feel appreciated. And I think the 5 areas were gifts, they were displays of affection, words of affirmation, quality time, service. Now, a little later, Gary Chapman teamed up with someone called Paul White, and they came up with the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. And they decided it's the same thing in the workplace. There's 5 basic ways that people want to be appreciated. And it's the task of the workforce, the other people in the workforce, to find out what those languages are, and to do appreciation in the way that the person will feel appreciated. Because if it misses the mark, if we're appreciating somebody the way they don't feel appreciated, it's going to be wasted at the best, and at the worst, it will make them actually feel unappreciated. So first of all, appreciation needs to be specific, and it needs to be about results that were achieved and the behavior witnessed. Now, think of staff appreciation programs. A lot of staff appreciation places that I've worked is, oh, it's this time of year again. This is our annual staff appreciation. Well, we're going to have to, let's strike up a committee here and get some people to volunteer to be on this committee. And we'll set a day aside. We'll maybe get a speaker. We'll provide some food, some lunch. So we'll think of some fun activities to do and give people a day off to feel, so they feel appreciated. And then people have fun, people like getting the day off, but do they feel appreciated? Okay, so here again, there's a scenario where here's somebody that gives their all, is performing really at their maximum, maybe 80%, or giving a lot more than their colleagues, and they're given the same appreciation. The message is, you're all doing a great job. Some people know they're not doing a great job. Some people think they're doing a fantastic job, but we're all appreciating them the same way. Again, this is a case where somebody who's working very hard will not feel appreciated in the annual appreciation event. And so it needs to be, appreciation needs to be about specific behavior. So the management has to set, it's on, basically the annual staff appreciation, it's looked at as management has to sort of satisfy some criteria that's handed down to them. We have to have an annual appreciation for our staff. That's something we sort of have to do, and doesn't think very deep and long about if the staff will feel appreciated or not. It's just something that we feel every organization does. So there's another thing that happens too, and I've experienced it, is when we have a meeting, with your team, different people in your unit, and there's somebody higher up in the organization that is coming to learn about your work and is coming to speak and learn about what your specific unit does. And your manager decides, well, this is a great time to do some recognition, has some little gifts, and tells everybody how appreciated they are, and there's a sneaking suspicion from people in your unit that the real reason is that they are trying to curry favor from the person that's there, that's over and above them. So there has to be, and that can cause a loss of trust when that sort of thing happens, because everybody knows that it's not really about them, and instead of feeling appreciated, in our case, we felt used, that we were being used for the manager to earn points with somebody above them who they hope for some reason might be in a position to offer them a job, offer them a promotion. The other thing about appreciation is it needs to be timely, and it needs to be frequent. When somebody's reached a goal, done something significant, or been especially supportive of a team member, that appreciation has to happen at the time, very shortly after the time. The closer to the event, the more it will be remembered and the greater impact it will have on the person receiving the appreciation. So instead of waiting for a major event where everybody's recognized at the same time, again, your annual staff appreciation, we need to carry out small celebrations spontaneously and frequently. Now, think of this in terms of sports teams, how they show appreciation, how they celebrate. Of course, sports teams, very highly emotionally charged situations, and the appreciation happens right away. Somebody makes a great play, somebody stands up for one of your fellow players, or somebody scores a goal. The appreciation is instantaneously. It's high fives, slaps on the back, hugs, things like that. It's instantaneously. I'm not sure we can totally do this in the workplace, but it would be nice if we had a process where that could happen more frequently. And organizations need to develop a system where that is, people remember to do that. They have a budget to do that. They have some sort of support systems whereby they can do that, because not everybody is creative enough, and will think of, they did something really, really wonderful. I want to appreciate them, but not sure how to do it. Okay? Things like handwritten notes. It doesn't have to cost much money. Photos with team members on the wall, buying somebody coffee or lunch, handwritten notes, things like that. Just little things that make them feel at the time that they've done something extra, that they're seen and that they're acknowledged. And this type of thing not only increases feeling that we're being appreciated, but it makes the workplace a lot more fun and a lot more vibrant. Now, there's a caveat emptor here, is that we have to be careful. This is where we have to know our people, because not everybody wants to be publicly acknowledged and publicly appreciated. Some people don't. So we have to know how the person wants to be appreciated. And the more we get to know our people, again, the better idea we will have of how to appreciate them. Some people we need to do it in private. That's how they will receive appreciation. The other thing, we need to also encourage staff to recognize one another and make it easy for them to do so. And this was recognized by Aubrey Daniels, that appreciation isn't just management job. It has to permeate throughout the organization. There has to be a process. There has to be systems set up where it's easy to do that. And basically things like message boards staff can share what they value about one another, and only great ways to appreciate somebody, because there's a problem. There's always been a problem with top-down appreciation, because it can always be perceived as being political. It can be perceived as self-serving, and it's part of the job description. I'm supposed to let, as a manager, I'm told, well, you have to let people know they're doing a great job. This is part of the job, whether you really want to, whether you really feel like it or not. This is part of the job. So there's a problem with that. The thing to do is that to avoid that, and it's hard to avoid favoritism in the workplace, or whether it's real or whether it's perceived. It's very, very difficult because of human nature. People want to reward people that they like, and reward people that we hear from. And there's some people that are much better than others at standing out and being able to stand out in public situations and being recognized. So other people are working sort of quietly behind the scenes, doing great work. It's more difficult for them to get recognized. And that is a reason that we need a lot more involvement in staff appreciation. We need their peers to be able to send things up, involved in the appreciation efforts in the process. And if we can expand it to customers, if we can expand it to suppliers that we work closely with, or anybody else that interacts with our group at work, the better it is, because the greater chance that somebody's actual skills and somebody's actual efforts will be acknowledged, the more we can expand it. Because if we just wait for management, they often don't know the details of the work where they're doing, and they just rely upon what they're hearing maybe in meetings. And again, it's the people that make sure that they're heard, that they hear from. So they need to have a system where they're getting all the information on what's actually happening, rather than just hearing certain people that have the skill and are able to do this, are able to make themselves heard. Now, that what I used to do is I had a job before where in our organization I was the event coordinator. So one time my role was to go out to different events and put up a booth and get staff and put out our resources, put out our products, and then interact with the people that came to the event, customers. And so I would get people from different areas. A lot of people like to do this. They like to this job, and because they give them a day away from the office, and they could interact with a lot of people. They could go see the other booths that were there. It was a nice change. People wanted to do it. There were a couple of people that were very, very good at this, though. They really engaged with the people that came to our booth. They were very enthusiastic, upbeat. They were active listening to the people. They weren't just, here, take a publication here, have, like, they actually wanted to understand these people. And these people, I would phone up their supervisor, even their manager, or I would email, and I would let them know what a great job this person was doing, how much I appreciated. And I went out of my way to do that. And they told me after how much they appreciated me doing it, because it was genuine. It was authentic. I had nothing to gain by doing that. I mean, I wasn't going to be applying for a job with their with their manager and anything. So I had nothing to gain. It was authentic. And that's how appreciation has to be seen. It has to be seen as authentic and genuine. So I wanted to just end off here by showing you something. Now, this here, years ago, I was asked to come speak to an organization in Jacksonville, Florida. It was Valentine's Day. Okay. So when I got to the airport, I saw the lady holding this sign. And I went up to her. I knew about her. I'd never met her before. I haven't met anybody there. And we both broke out in laughter. It was just so wonderful. I just felt so welcome. It felt so warm. And I give what I believe was the best talk that I ever gave at a live event. And because I've kept that all these years, it's about 15 years ago. And now that doesn't cost much to do that, but it took some thought, and it took some effort. It took some creativity, but I felt so welcomed, and that brought out the best in me. And that's what we need to do with the people in organization. We need to find ways to bring out the best in them. And yes, thank you for your time and giving me your time and space. Thank you very much.
Harvey, thank you very much. There's so many things I want to talk about with you at this point. I love the fact that you brought up Gary Chapman. I think that's a really easy way for people to kind of quickly figure out how people want to be addressed within the organization. And especially people that are words of affirmation are going to be the ones that really want that direct feedback in front of everybody else, those kind of things. So I thought that was very interesting. And I guess the whole time I was reflecting how sad it is that we don't do a good job of appreciating and recognizing people within the workplace, how that's not the norm. And I love the fact that you're trying to change the narrative on that and go forward. Discretionary effort is a really interesting topic for me. Because I think this is just me, I think we get it wrong in the workplace, that we do things and expect discretionary effort instead of just doing things, and then the natural result would be discretionary effort. So it becomes a quid pro quo. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about appreciating people and really seeing who they are, it's almost like you're trying to play a game with them in some way. So it's really about how you approach that recognition and things like that. Like you talked about with the lady at the airport. There's no preconception there. It was just something she did that she thought would be a really fun way to welcome you and stand out and make you feel special when you got there. And that's more, I think we need more of that in the workplace, like you're talking about.
Yes, we certainly do. And absolutely. Yes. And I think of organizations, the more they understand how important this is and they have to gain, they would put more focus and effort on this. And hopefully they would do that. More organizations will start doing that and really make that a high priority, not just sort of a nice thing to do when there's not something else that needs much more attention. It needs to be a crucial and a main part of the workplace.
It does. I completely agree. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on in this conversation. I've been really fascinated by it, and I hope everybody else will take it to heart. And like you said, start making it a better or a bigger part and more important part of their daily activities within their workplaces and organizations. So, and I'll also tell you that both of your books are now on my reading list. So I'm excited to dive into those once I get a hold of those.
Well, thank you for that. Great.
Is there anything else that you want to leave people with, or a way to contact you or anything like that?
Yeah, they can contact me through my email. It's Harvey .ei. I'm the EI guy again. EIGUY at shaw.ca, and the website is theotherkindofsmart.com. It's one word, the other kind of smart, just like the title of my first book.com. And you can contact me through the website, or you contact me directly through Harvey.EIGUY at shaw.ca. Either way.
Nice. Great. I encourage all of you to reach out to Harvey, read those books, and bring that into your organization. Harvey, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us today.
I love being on. Thank you for having me. It's a great honor. Thank you.